working with students in poverty, they need to know that they have our support.
Another important aspect to consider that I think was mentioned over here is mental illness. People, particularly children who live in poverty, are more likely to develop mental illnesses. And although experts don't know the exact reason why this is, they really believe that it's a series of environmental factors, especially stress and anxiety, that could be great contributing factors to this. Mental disorders can lead to unemployment and incarceration, which in turn can lead to poverty and homelessness. About 65% of boys and 75% of girls living in juvenile detention have at least one psychiatric diagnosis, and approximately 40% of the homeless people in the United States suffer from serious and persistent mental illnesses that also can lead to co-occurring substance abuse. Other chronic medical conditions that particularly poor children suffer from are chronic ear infections and asthma, because they live in such poor conditions where rats or cockroaches might be carrying these diseases.
Couple of the words that you used over here, struggling and resourceless, are very good words for the homeless people, because we read a book for this class called The Working Poor of America, and it shared a quote with us which I think is very important. It said, "Poverty is like a bleeding wound. It weakens the defenses, it lowers the resistance, and it attracts predators." So what I'm going to talk about is, as far as them trying to get money or save money, it's very hard because the predators, such as the large banks or different like payday loan stores, know that they need money, and so they devise these schemes, which then in turn causes the people that are poor to have to pay more money than perhaps those in middle class. An example of this is the refund anticipation loans, and H&R Block also has loans that charge enormous fees. But a specific example is the payday loan I just talked about, where you write a post-dated check and you get the money today, but you pay for it tomorrow. So say you didn't get your check from your job until tomorrow, well, they can give you the money today. However, they are going to charge you $120, say if you just wanted $100. And if you get the money today and pay it in 2 weeks, that works out to a percentage fee of 1.428% per day, or annually 521% interest for a year. So to put that into perspective, the annual percentage rate of a mortgage in South Bend could just be 5.25%. There's a huge difference between 521% and 5.25%. And unfortunately, this leads to low, very poor credit. So even if they could get a loan, they normally can't because they have such low credit, and then they are too poor to even declare bankruptcy, so they don't have the money for the fees or the court costs, and the end result is a cyclical problem of debt.
Okay, besides what has been said, I also wanted to emphasize the importance of understanding poverty and homelessness often results in a complete downfall of the individual, so that in order to rebuild self-esteem, much work has to be done. Working poverty is both a micro and macro issue. To solve it, we need to address issues of the individual and issues of society. Focusing on one or the other is not going to work. That is why we need to look farther or past all the stereotypes that you guys listed and that many people have, to be able to get the true facts of poverty and homelessness and be able to help in one way or another.
Now Maria's going to read us a story.
I'm going to read you a personal account of what it's like to be a homeless mother. It isn't easy living as I do. I am a single mother with 2 kids living out of our vehicle. I have to be careful with what I say to coworkers, friends, and family. They don't fully understand or know why I don't invite people over or why my kids don't have sleepovers. I've learned to get by on naps because I can't afford to get a full night's sleep. Although I work 2 jobs often, most of what I make is spent on gas. This is how it's been for the last 7 years, and I have no idea when things will change. My kids go to school and have clean clothes and food to eat. Occasionally, we go to sleep hungry. Welfare isn't an option, as the state wants us to sell our vehicle, our only safe place to sleep, in order to grant us a measly $400 a month. So, for now, we just get basic health care and food stamps. Child support stopped 7 years ago, and that's how I lost my apartment. That and lack of affordable childcare. Without childcare, I could not go to my job and couldn't make my oldest daughter stay home from school to watch her baby sister. When my tax refund came around, I used it to buy a 1981 Mini Winnebago. That was in excellent condition. My plan was to work nights while the kids slept in it. By the time my youngest was able to go to school, I found a day job that paid more than the part-time night job, but the night job had a private parking lot that I could see from where I was working. The kids slept while I helped put out the next issue of the local paper. I made sure no one knew the kids were outside, and my oldest knew that she had to keep her little sister quiet at all times. I cannot understand the logic behind the state's willingness to pay a stranger to take care of my kids, but not lift a finger to help parents take care of their own kids. Foster care seems to be a strange system in my opinion. How do you know these foster parents aren't just opening their homes for the money? I read an article about how these kids were dumped into the street once the money ran out. I am determined to keep us all together, but don't need any hassles from the state poking its nose in where it's not wanted. I still recall the moment a social worker looked me in the eye and said that she was sorry, but the state couldn't do anything to prevent homelessness. But here's your EBT card. I laughed in the social worker's face when she suggested applying for Section 8 for housing help. I replied, "You mean apply for a program that's closed in this state and awarded like a lottery? No thanks. I needed help yesterday, not the faint possibility at some unknown future date." I grow weary of other people's questions as they are always the same. The look of disbelief on their faces only reinforces what I and my kids already know. There's no such thing as help from the state, your family, or friends, because unless they are in a position to do so, they aren't willing to do so. I have had one or two relatives try to help in the only way they could, and I will not forget that. What surprised me, and surprises me still, are the people who were complete strangers who came forward to offer what they could. Two older women in particular I will never forget. We met them at a local park during the summer, since it was the easiest place I could park the RV, and it had plenty of room for the kids to roam around in. One of them walked the park every morning, and the other walked her dog, and so it was no surprise that the two knew each other, or even that I met them at separate occasions. By observation, they had figured out our situation, and when we had no money to eat, they would buy my kids food at a local fast food restaurant and bring it to the park. I never asked them for a thing, but they offered because they wanted to. I will also never forget one family who frequented the same park because the father of the family had a position at the church he attended, and my youngest was in the habit of starting conversations with them. When one of his daughters asked where we lived, my daughter pointed to our RV. The girl looked confused, but the parents understood. The father stared at us for a moment, then turned away. That family kept their distance from us after that day. In time, my kids learned not to tell anybody how we were living, and I knew it was killing them inside. My eldest has impressed me many times, even though I know she still cries at night. She may understand why we are stuck, but that won't stop the hurt or embarrassment she feels. I still wonder how my youngest will be affected by our situation, but she may not know the difference either. You see, we moved into the RV when she was 1.5 years old. Whenever we went to a hotel or spent the night at someone's house, she would always ask to go back to the RV. For my teenager, the damage has already been done. She suffers from depression because her world fell apart when we became homeless. She keeps it a secret from her friends at school, but when the bottled up emotions become too great,